Yeah, the one thing that there is, though, there are some potential teaser legs. And with that, we go to a highlight video here on ATS Radio, taking a look at game 479, 480 in the NFL. Jacksonville and the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers minus 7.5. Total on this game of 49. And the first thing, I guess, the starting point with any Chargers handicap right now is that Justin Herbert looks like the real deal. And I was skeptical of him coming out in the draft. I was skeptical of the Chargers taking him, thinking, you know what, Tyrod Taylor's going to be a good stopgap kind of guy. Maybe you can see what happens in free agency after that. Get a player that helps you at a greater position of need. Well, turns out I was dead wrong, and Justin Herbert seems like the real deal.
Yeah, he's been really good, and I agree with you. I was a bit skeptical on whether he'd be this good. When you talk about a Chargers game, there's a few things you think of at first. I will say I don't like Anthony Lynn very much as a coach. I don't trust him laying a lot of points. So that's why I like the Chargers here in a teaser leg, because if you look at this one, it doesn't have the really low total that you like to take a teaser with, but here's a good number to take a 6-point teaser. You got 7.5, you take it down to 1.5. I really think the Chargers have a really good chance of winning this game outright. Obviously they could win by 1, but you get it down to 1.5. You've gone through a lot of really key numbers there. On the other side, you look at Jacksonville. So Jacksonville won that first game against Indianapolis. And then some people thought, well, maybe Jacksonville's decent or they're better than they should have been. And I think Indianapolis outgained them about 2-1 in that game. And you look at all the games since then, Jacksonville's had some really, really bad performances. I think Jacksonville's the second worst team in the NFL. That's pretty hard to say when you've got the Giants and Washington and teams like that. Obviously, the Jets are worse than them. Nobody could put the Jets anywhere other than the very bottom. But Gardner Minshew, when you look at his numbers, some of his numbers look decent, but you dig deeper into it, a lot of his stats have come when they're way behind in the game. And, it's easy to throw for a lot of yards or get touchdowns at the end of the game when you're losing by 17 points or something like that, and you make it 10. I think this Chargers defense is pretty good. They should be able to get pressure on Gardner Minshew in this one. We know the Jacksonville defense is really bad. So I like the Chargers here in a teaser leg. I think there are some other teams here in the NFL this week that you could get teased down as well. I think teasers in the NFL can be really profitable, as we've talked about before on the show. I don't think teasers in any other sport are a good idea, but I think the NFL teasers are very profitable if you look at the right spot. I think this is a good one here where you get a Chargers defense that's much better than the other side. Obviously, the Chargers also have the quarterback advantage with Herbert. So to me, you take this from 7.5 down to 1.5 and you tease it with something else. I think you have a really valuable play.
Yeah, I think so too. And frankly, I mean, at 7.5, as far as what my choices are going to be for the circa this week, Chargers may end up being a play. I mean, Jacksonville is who we thought they were. I know they had that, performance in week 1 against the Colts, as you mentioned, but they got badly outgained in that one. And as it turns out, I mean, Philip Rivers has, made a season and pretty much a career of just back-breaking turnovers, losing close games, stuff like that. I think Jacksonville got very fortunate in that first game. And ever since then, it's kind of been downhill for them. The Chargers are a team that I think is building up a little bit. And you play a team on the upswing in the NFL. I think that makes some sense. As far as teams to pair with the Chargers here in a teaser leg, I know you said teasing some teams down kind of makes some sense. I also think San Francisco up from 2 to 8 makes a lot of sense in a game with a very low scoring expectation. So that may be something I look at here, a teaser of San Francisco and the Chargers. But I think you and I, look, if we had to, and I have to, with having to find 5 games in the circa, Chargers minus 7.5 does feel like a consensus opinion from us.
Yes, and I agree with you on teasing the 49ers up. Another one now, this one wouldn't fit that well because of the high total, but I do wonder about teasing the Lions up from 2 to 8 would make some sense. I think that Atlanta winning by margin would be questionable there. But I agree with you. I think San Francisco teased up makes a lot of sense because of the really low total, points at a premium there in that one. I don't think the Patriots win that game by a lot. So I like that one quite a bit as well. And yes, like you, if I were taking this game straight, I would also take the Chargers. There was a 7 at Bookmaker. I'm kind of kicking myself for not taking Chargers minus 7. Maybe we see it again. I know some people just want to grab the number here with Jacksonville. Hopefully this goes down to 7 across the board, but at 7.5, I still lean Chargers in this game.
Well, of course, very important to line shop out there. You got the legal U.S. betting market with a lot of different operators these days. So, you have opportunities to see if you do wind up getting a 7. We'll talk more about teasers, I think, on next week's show, because there are some interesting things to discuss now with the fact that totals have gotten a lot higher across the board in the NFL. But this was a highlight video here on Jaguars and Chargers on our ATS radio broadcast with host Adam Burke and professional handicapper Kyle Hunter. Make sure you subscribe to our ATS radio broadcasts on Spreaker, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, wherever you stream and download your podcast content.